Hi, everybody. This is Amanda Bruton with Medicare Answers Now and Insurance Unfiltered. Today we have Matthew Murphy, who is the Yoda when it comes to life insurance final expense and how to build that business. So I am glad that you've joined with many of the other agents that are on today's Zoom. This will be posted on YouTube shortly, but Matthew is somebody that I asked to, because you guys have asked for more training on final expense, or you're just starting to get into this particular product line and learning how to sell it. So I asked Matthew to go ahead and school us on it. And I couldn't have thought of anybody better to do that. So with that, Matthew, the floor is all yours.
Well, thank you, Amanda. Can I share my screen? Do I know how to do this? Let
Yep.
me see if I
Hit
can
the
do
share
this.
and you're good.
It's never exactly how it's supposed to go, but hopefully y'all see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just gonna share it this way, present, and can we still see it? Are we still there?
Yep.
Oh, okay, that looks really good. My assistant Brittany put this together for me because I am horrible at anything that has to do with paperwork, and I'm horrible that has anything to do with this kind of stuff. So if it's wrong, please email Brittany and let her know it's wrong. Just kidding. But thank you again, Amanda. I'm a what's called a final expense nut. I know that's a weird thing to be really excited about, but I got into the insurance business because of final expense, and I've done quite a bit of stuff in the Medicare space, but final expense is just where my heart is. Today, I was in the field, uh, sitting down across somebody talking about their funeral and cremation, which is a weird thing to talk about. But I'm going to show you guys how to cross sell uh, into your Medicare book of business and how to self fund your AEP. We're in an interesting space with the marketing dollars when it comes to the Medicare world, and I've always said you can just learn how to sell a little bit of final expense, make a ton of money, and compliantly get in front of your clients year round just using final expense. So there's a ton of information. I sometimes do what's called information overload on people. If you have questions, I'm going to try to give more than enough time at the end to ask all the questions. So if you got them, write them down, put them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them all. So
Awesome. And I'm going to monitor the chat
yeah,
so that way, as we go, as agents have the questions, we can look at that as well.
absolutely. First of all, what is final expense? It is it's a life insurance policy. It's a whole life insurance policy designed to cover the burial or cremation cost with a streamlined death benefit. Big life insurance policies, term policies, IULs, things like that. Sometimes when people pass away, it could take months to pay out a death benefit. Funeral homes want cash now. They negotiate best with cash. So a final expense policy, all the company really needs is a death certificate. You can send it to the insurance company, and they're going to send a check back within 24 to 48 hours. That gives the beneficiary, the person left behind, the cash to negotiate with the funeral home to negotiate down the rate. I can talk a little bit more how that works and how funeral homes, I don't want to say take advantage of people that are grieving, but it's pretty scary how much people spend on funerals and cremations that they don't have to. Um, Even with health issues, I mean, we're working in the D-SNP, C-SNP, Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement. People, the older they get, the sicker they become. Even with current health conditions, people can get level coverage. An example today, I met with a lady that had COPD, and she was not on oxygen, and she got level coverage. If something happens to her after today, or after her premium has gone through, her family's going to get full death benefit. You see, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to final expense insurance. Most people see something on TV or they get something through the mail. Those are what's called a 2 year waiting period. Sometimes the person's really sick, they have to get a 2 year waiting period. But a lot of times when you do proper field underwriting, you can get person a level coverage, meaning day one benefit. And I can't tell you how many times I've served somebody, sat down with them, and a week to a month later they passed away and the full death benefit got paid to the family and that funeral or cremation was taken care of. It sucks when it happens, but it's better to know that they are covered than having a 2-year wait period if they don't have to. Why final expense? Again, I know it's morbid and most, but people are going to die. People are dying that have never died before. That's a good joke. You can write that one down. It's not anything that we want to talk about, and our clients definitely don't want to talk about it. But I'm going to give you my power line that I say in almost every house, and it works a lot of the times. Mary, look, I get no one wants to talk about this, and it's really weird talking to somebody, talking about this to somebody that looks like me. But if we do this now, you'll never have to worry about this again. Does that sound fair? And most of the time they'll go, yeah, you're right. I'm willing to talk about this now, and I don't want to ever have to worry about it again. So you're giving them the option to go forward with the conversation or not. And if they choose to, and most of the time they will, you just make sure you do proper underwriting, get them proper coverage, and they don't have to worry about this anymore because you're going to take care of this for their whole life. Medicare Advantage clients and Medicare Supplement clients are the exact same person as a final expense client. It's peanut butter and jelly. A lot of what we do is we sell final expense and then we cross sell into Medicare. I'm going to show you why it's really easy for any Medicare agent to sell final expense, and what you already know will help you because you're dealing with their Medicare, their prescription drugs. You know their age, you know their ailments, you know their medications. This is going to help you significantly when it comes to underwriting and trying to get that person proper coverage. You can use something called insurance toolkits. Most IMOs and FMOs offer this at no cost to their agencies. So if you have one and they offer final expense contracts, ask them if they have toolkits, and if they don't, tell them to get it. But at the end of the day, it costs about $30 per month per agent, and it's well worth it because if you don't know how to underwrite, and most people don't when they start, it's really easy to just put in put in the medications, put in the person's age, and get the quote right then and there. Here's how to bring it up with your current clients and why. You can text them, you can email them, send them a postcard, or just call them. I'm going to give you an example. I like to send out newsletters to my current clients and giving them an option to fill out an additional form saying they're interested. But Mary, thank you for letting the insurance platform help you with your healthcare journey. As an additional service, we're now assisting clients with their life insurance reviews. This takes less than 20 minutes, and you'll be glad that you did. Something just as simple as that, letting them know that you take care of this. You'd be surprised how many clients actually want to talk about this stuff and want to do insurance policy reviews with their Medicare agent, but they don't even know that you offer it. So if you start to offer it, people will ask about it. And when you get good at it, you're going to start getting referrals. Here's the unfortunate facts about life insurance for seniors. I've been doing this for about a decade in the final expense industry. About 50% of people that I sit down with either have no life insurance at all because they don't think they can qualify. They're old, they're older, they're sicker, or they have improper coverage due to lack of knowledge or making mistakes like borrowing money on their policy. I'm going to show you what I mean by this. There's a couple examples I'm going to show, and one of the people in this is Miss Lisa. She's a student of mine, and I had her look at a life insurance policy for one of her clients, and this is what we found. So I know this might be a little bit hard to read, and I'm going to see if I can annotate this for us. But this is the age that she got it. The client was 70 years old. Their premium is $1,500 per year. So I don't even know what that is per month, over 80, 120 bucks a month. And this is the cash values. Now, this is not a whole life policy. This is a indexed universal life or an IUL policies. These are being touted around in the industry as a great thing for people. This is not what a senior citizen needs at all. This is not a properly structured IUL. And most agents that are selling these have no idea what they're doing. But it builds cash value, if you see here. But what happens is it's saying, okay, how much is $30,000 at 70 years old? And they're saying, well, the cost to insure her per year is only $1,200 a month, but she's going to pay 15. So there's a positive there. So it's going to build cash value slowly over the first 6 to 10 years of the policy. And you'll see it kind of tops out around that $638 mark. And then at that magic age of 78, 79, the cost of insurance is going to go over the premium outlay or over the premium, meaning the cost to insure a 79-year-old for the same $30,000 in death benefit is now $1,600. The difference comes from the cash value. Okay. That means that cash value is now going downwards. When that cash value gets to be zero at the age of 82, what do you think happens with that policy? When there's no cash value left, it goes in what's called an overloan state. The client is then now sent what it costs to cover them at $30,000 at 82 years old versus 70. And that amount might be closer to $2,000 a month, and it increases every year. So either the client has to pay the increased premium every single year to keep that death benefit, and if they cannot, they're going to lose their policy. So in this example right here, if this person can't continue to pay more than $1,500 a month after the age of 82, that person doesn't have coverage anymore. And now they have to get re-rated at an 82-year-old to cover the cost of the funeral. Imagine what this client would have gone through 12 years from now had we not looked over these policies. This is a real life example that happened a month ago. Let me see if I can do that. I even know how to go to the next page now. Did I break it? I did it right. I got my annotations here. Well, it's already telling you the answer, but here's another example. A client has $15,000, and this is a whole life policy. So this is a decent policy for $65 a month. She's 69 years old and has had the policy for 9 years. During this time, the client took out a loan for $1,500 of policy at the $1,500 of the policy. The cash value prior to taking out the loan was $2,000. The actual cash value now is $500. Some people believe, and a lot of the clients believe, that they still have $15,000 in coverage, but that's not the case. They have $13,500 in coverage because it is going to be the death benefit minus the loan of $1,500 is going to give you this $13,500. Now, what do we all know about loans? You're supposed to do what? Pay it back, right? Clients are not told that they need to pay it back. When the client asks the company, do I have to pay it back? The company will answer, no, you don't have to pay it back. But that doesn't mean that they should pay it back. Any loan you ever have, you should pay back. This is what's going to happen. If there's a loan interest rate on all policies between 7.4 to 8.9% on most whole life policies. When the loan comes due every year, the interest is going to be paid from the remainder of the cash value. So in that example, a $1,500 loan with an 8.9% interest rate, when that loan comes due, it's going to pull from the remainder of the 500, getting it down further. If that loan continues to go for much longer, there's going to be no cash value left. They're going to go into an overloan state, and it's going to lapse. It's unfortunate because the policy was structured in a way it's going to last 3 or 4 more years at that rate. That leaves this exact client at 74 to 75 years old with no policy after paying on their policy for 9 years and not being told that they need to pay that money back. People get sent, our clients get sent letters in the mail saying, you have this cash value, you can borrow it. I don't like it because it's predatory from the insurance companies. When these people borrow it, they are not paying the money back, and it's really sad what happens because they're not educated on this.
So quick question.
Sure.
And I'm going to go back a little bit. The question that's in the chat box is who are you using that doesn't have a 2-year waiting period?
There's multiple carriers that offer. I'll give you a couple examples of ones that we use that offer great, what I call Social Security billing. Social Security billing is when Mary gets paid on the 3rd, that's when the company's going to draft. True Social Security billing is if Mary gets paid on the 3rd and the 3rd falls on a Sunday, they're going to take it out the Friday when she gets paid. That's important for making sure you don't have chargebacks. I'm going to rapid fire a few of them. American Amicable, Baltimore Life, SBLI, I don't want to say another one, Combined, Security National Life, Royal Neighbors of America is a fantastic one. There's probably 20 to 30 different uh, insurance carriers that just focus on final expense. Most all of them give a level coverage option with proper underwriting. The ones
Okay.
that do not are your AIGs. Those are what's called your GI carriers or guaranteed insurability carriers. There's no health questions. They're just going to give that person coverage, but it automatically comes with a 2-year waiting period.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
yeah, multiple carriers. I just say, go to your FMO if they have them, um, and just say, hey, do y'all have any carriers that offer final expense? Most of those carriers are going to offer level coverage. What you don't want to do is sometimes I see Medicare agents get into it and they don't want to properly underwrite, and it's just easier to write the AIG because there's no health questions and they think it's faster, but it's not the right thing to do for your client, especially if they can get level coverage. The rates are going to be better and they can get day one coverage. So
Okay.
American Amicable is probably my favorite. Another great one that's also in the Medicare supplement space, hospital indemnity space, is Bankers Fidelity. They're fantastic. I just got on the call with them yesterday. So I'm going to go back to this loan
Yep.
at a 7.4 to 8.9% interest rate. It goes into an overloan state, or it went over this. Here's the possible solution for this client. They can pay the loan back, and this is a probably a good thing to do. But here's the issue with it. Most of our clients borrowed money because they needed it and they didn't know they needed to pay it back. So I ran a quick amortization to pay back a $1,500 loan over a 4-year period. Getting, say, hey, you don't even have to pay this back in a year. Just pay that back over a 4-year period. The monthly premium on a $1,500 loan with a 7.4 on the lower end over a 4 year is going to be about $36.20 a month. That plus the current premium of $65 is going to make the client pay $101.20 for the next 4 years to get them back to a full death benefit of $15,000. Okay. Or they can find a new policy that I ran for a 69-year-old with one of the carriers was $84.32 a month. If they qualify for level coverage, and I'm going to harp on this level coverage thing for a while. They could cancel out this other policy. They're going to forgive the current loan of $1,500. The person's going to get back the other cash values that are inside of there, the other $500 that is owed to them, and they would have a new $15,000 life policy. But here's the important part about this, because that seems great. If you're doing it that's not level coverage, and then that person passes away in the first 2 years of the new coverage, that person may not have coverage. So you want to make sure that you're properly underwriting with insurance toolkits, or just asking the questions on the application, calling the carrier and saying, I'm trying to make sure that Mary gets level coverage. That's when you want to do it. The important part about what I just showed you is it's a very good possibility to do something like this for your client, but they have to get level coverage. The important part of what I'm trying to show you is it's not that hard to underwrite, and you can get the person level coverage. If they're on a 2-year waiting period, usually it's what's called a graded or a modified. It means they're going to pay all the premiums plus 10% back. Now, there's really not a whole lot of banks in the world that will give all the money back plus 10%. So a modified is not that bad, but about 88 to 90% of your clients can get level coverage as long as you're doing proper underwriting. All right, the good stuff. How are we going to self-fund our AEP? We're going to show you how to get paid. Just using this previous example of the new premium of $84.32, the annualized premium is going to be about a little over $1,000. A street level contract for final expense is between 90 to 110% based on the insurance carrier and what the FMO provide. Your commission, based on the median of 100%, is you would make $1,111.84. There's going to be what's called an advance. That's going to pay you 75% upfront. They're going to give you what's called a 9-month or a HEAP advance. The other 25% will be paid on months 10, 11, and 12 as that client makes those premiums during those subsequent months. Renewals pale in comparison to Medicare Advantage and MAPDs, but they do have small trailing commissions. Most of the final expense is upfront commissions. The average final expense premium is $62.50 or $750. So the average advance is going to be about $562.50. So let's just use an example of what's possible. Taking 300 clients, say you have a book of business of 300 possible clients, and you learn to cross-sell just 15% of those into final expense. Just having a conversation, offering it, doing insurance reviews, and you're just 15%, and that's it. That's 45 clients. It's going to be about $25,000 in annualized premium in upfront commissions. I don't know if $25,000 is good for anybody, but I can think of a lot of mail that can be dropped. I can think of a lot of seminars that can be done during AEP with those $25,000. But here's the cool part. It's obviously we're in a Medicare, we're in a rocky place with Medicare marketing dollars. If you learn these skills, you can self-fund your AEP and you can take full control of your business. The best part is if you learn to do it between April 1st and October 1st, you can compliantly see your clients throughout the year and let them know you'll be seeing them when AEP comes around. Does that make sense? It's a great way to sit with your Medicare clients throughout the year, get paid, and let them know, hey, when AEP comes around, I'm going to be calling you. It's a really great way to get in front of your clients. And to wrap up, I'm going to show you an example of a final expense application. So I'm going to stop this and then we'll take any questions because I know that's probably information overload. So now let me see if I can share my screen again. I don't know how to go out of this thing because I'm horrible at it. All right. This is a new company that just rolled out last week. Combine and Chubb, their PNC company. I really just like their UX design of this application. It's very simple. But I'm going to show a simple rate quote. So a $10,000 age 66 for a female. She doesn't smoke. She's in good health. And we're not going to do any grandchild riders. We're just going to keep it simple. This is how I would sell it. Mary, we're going to try to get you the preferred rate. All these are level coverage, preferred, standard, substandard. The only one that's not is this graded benefit. That's going to be that 2-year modified. We're going to shoot you for this $52.71 a month. Worst case scenario, it's $63.74 based on the underwriting that we show. Which, are you okay with any of these? Yep, I like the $52.71 a month. I'm telling Combine they should make it where I can just click this button and it goes to the application, but they haven't listened to me yet. They will. And then it's just applications, start new applications, and I'll show you what a test application looks like. Matthew Murray. I don't have anything else. In the last 2 years, have you been diagnosed with the healthcare providers having terminal illness? Meaning, if you have a terminal illness, incarcerated, this is the 2% that won't get approved. So you have to answer this one no. If it's yes, they're not going to get approved. And let's go address here. Date of birth. I'm going to make me a 19. Let's make me a little bit older. Male. These are the 5 health questions, or 6. Have you ever been diagnosed, treated, tested positive, or given medical advice by any member of the medical profession for AIDS, HIV, bipolar, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, dementia, or other progressive neurological disorders? Now, when you're asking these questions, you want to make sure that you're asking these the way that they're asked. Final expense underwriting is what's called black and white underwriting. And ask it the way it's asked. No. Have you ever been treated, diagnosed, tested positive, been given medical advice from a member of the medical profession, or condition that requires use of oxygen or dialysis? Nope. And this is a really long-winded one, but diabetes, chronic disease, liver disease in the past 6 months, diagnostic cancer, except for basal skin cancer, heart attack or stroke. No. ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, multiple sclerosis, alcohol or drug abuse. No. And do you use tobacco? No. And do they have any existing life products with Combined? Nope. This is not a real application, so we're not actually getting insurance. It's a send text message link, so you can do this over the phone if you'd like. You can send a text message to your client. I just got a text message and I would type in the 7577. There's about 3 prompts, and it's just basically letting the client know that they're going to be underwriting for an insurance policy. You can walk them through that, or you can do this in person where they can sign with a stylus like on an iPad. Once they say yes, they put in their I'm not going to go through this part, but they say yes, they sign. Um, they're going to underwrite it and give you a decision right on the spot and say this person is approved or not approved. They'll get a policy number, they'll get an email in their email address, and that person will have coverage as long as their first premium is paid. That's it.
Okay, um, so yes to any questions, goes to graded. Is there a paramed?
No paramed.
Is diabetes, yes, or is that a no-go?
Diabetes is normally okay. It's when they have diabetic neuropathy is when you get into some trouble. So when they have um, diabetic neuropathy, like pain in their legs and their feet, numbness in their hands and their feet due to diabetes, that's where the carriers are going to go. That's a little bit more of a health risk. But most carriers will even take insulin-dependent diabetics with no issues.
Okay. Can you can you talk about what a paramed is?
Yeah, a paramed is when someone's gonna, like a nurse practitioner is gonna come out to their house, take blood work, pee in a cup, stuff like that. And so one of my jokes with my clients is, Mary, this is so easy. I don't have to prod you, poke you, or make you pee in a cup. I'm just gonna ask you a few health questions, and they're gonna let me know based on your what's called a script check. They're gonna look at your most previous doctor visit and what medications you're taking. And as long as you're not lying to me from the questions I'm asking you, we could get you coverage right now. So a paramed is just medical, fully medical underwritten.
Okay. I had someone with glaucoma, no diabetes. Do you know anyone that will take that?
Glaucoma, let me see.
And I'm going to assume that the carriers go and give you field underwriting guides so that you can
Yes. Yep.
use.
hmm Yep. They're gonna give you every carrier, and this is where a lot of agents get analysis paralysis. They get a few carriers, then they have uh these underwriting guides with all the medications and all the new health questions for each one, and they feel like it's too much. That's why I like to use things like insurance toolkits where you can put in the current ailments and it'll show you what's going to pop up. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's use the glaucoma. So female, let's give it a 65-year-old, not a 365-year-old. Let's say this person is 5'8" and 200, no nicotine. How you spell glaucoma? Ah,
Glaucoma.
perfect. So Insurance Toolkits was built to help underwrite. So when you start typing, it'll actually help pop up. So even if you're horrible like me, it'll ask you when the last day of the treatment was, and then you can put in medications. So let's say, what's some common medications for high blood pressure? Lisinopril. That was for high blood pressure. It's controlled as the last fill, and they say they got it. They've been taking it since 2013. Uh, yes, they're compliant as far as taking medications. So it's asking all these different questions. I can now hit get quote, and you can put in the carriers that you have in there, and it'll tell you which carriers will take it level, and it can even take you to the e-app if they have an e-app available. So Bankers Fidelity is one that we use quite a bit. What you don't want to do on insurance tools cool kits is always go with the absolute cheapest one. I'm getting a contract with Standard Life. They're actually the cheapest on the market. it just seems a little bit harder to underwrite. What you want to do with your final expense underwriting is one that is easy to get, easy to write the application as an agent, and easy to get issued and easy to get paid. So like we use Transamerica a lot. Mutual of Omaha is a great one. Bankers Fidelity, but let's say that I wanted to go to use Bankers Fidelity, you can actually change what carriers you want to see in here. So if you have your carriers, you can put them in. I would not plus all of them because you'll get analysis paralysis. But let's say that we're here and I wanted to go to SBLI's EAP. It's going to pull me right to their EAP. I can log in and start taking the application right away.
How do you pick one carrier over another?
Um, here's my advice. Start with one and start writing that so you understand it. When you start figuring out, hey, this carrier is not taking diabetic neuropathy all the time, or they're not taking these ailments, then go, hey, which carriers are going to take this ailment, and then pick up a new contract. You don't. I like to pick like for people like I like to choose maybe 3 to 5 that are my go-tos. And I choose mine based on decent rates, social security billing, and easy to issue business, like easy UX design for the client and for the agent. If a
Okay.
carrier's process for getting something done, like is really, I don't know, backwards, so to speak, and it's hard
Yeah.
to get the client to sign because they you got to do a DocuSign, and getting clients to do DocuSigns via email is a little bit tough. Um, you 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 want to find something that's really easy to insure somebody. So, picking
So if
three
you
to
had
five.
the majority of the people that are on this call have never sold final expense at all. So
Mhm.
like we're starting from ground one.
Sure.
If you had it where, so you mentioned Royal Neighbors, I know I have that one.
Mhm.
There's 5 or 6. I have AIG, I have Transamerica, I have Bankers. What there's so many that you just scrolled through, like I'm going, oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's so much, so much.
How do you pick? If they're brand new, I don't want them getting pointed with 20 carriers. I think that that is absolutely one of the dumbest things that will set them up for failure.
Yes.
So, and a lot of these carriers will not have you get appointed unless you have business to write. I know that because those are
Mhm.
kicking back. But what if they're going to start out, what are like, let's say, what's your top 3 or 4 that you're like, you know what? You may want to take a serious look at one of these 4 to start with as your options.
Got it. I would go American Amicable. I would go Bankers Fidelity.
Okay.
I would go Baltimore Life, Transamerica, and Mutual of Omaha.
Okay.
That's a good lineup.
Okay.
Um, Combined is new. They have basically a guaranteed issue. They're gonna do it, so it's a really decent one to have. I don't like to put too many on people, but even if you have 5, I would just say take one of those. It doesn't matter what the rate is. Take one and just start learning how to sell that one.
Okay.
And if you notice a lot of the stuff that you're trying to write is going
We'll
to
carry over.
modified, then let's look at another one.
Okay.
But there's an advantage to writing one carrier. One, most of these carriers have carrier trips, and you'll end up writing enough business to go on carrier trips. 2, you won't be treated as a writing number. You'll be treated as an agent. And carriers love when you send them enough business that they'll call you and be like, hey, Amanda, how are you? Versus what is your agent number?
Yeah. Who are
Uh,
you and why are you bothering me? Yes, I
Pretty
get
much,
that.
pretty much. They they
Okay.
they favor someone that's doing the majority of their business with them.
Okay.
Any insurance carrier does, obviously.
So we have a couple more questions.
Sure.
Next one. If the client is not approved, does that affect them getting insurance with another company like that, like it does on other insurance? Is that a hard
Um,
no?
no, it's not as bad as people think it is. Most of the time, they final expense carriers want the business bad enough because it's end of life coverage. It's for their whole life. And these insurance companies, they get they get their money by collecting the premiums and investing into other things like real estate. So they just want the premiums for life. That's really how it works.
Okay.
So they're willing to take, say that you try to get somebody approved through Bankers Fidelity, and Bankers Fidelity said, no, you could go straight to combined, put it in, and combined will probably, more than likely take that.
Okay. Next one is a 20-year is this a 20-year paid up plan? Are these available for Medicare age beneficiaries? So that brings up a good question. Can you final expense? What is the age bracket there that we're working with?
Yes. Most final expense carriers go from 50 to 80 and sometimes 85 years old. That's about where they max out. There's a couple carriers that will do 89, but the premiums are so high, it's kind of tough to get someone, looking at $5,000 in coverage at 89 years old because they're past the normal mortality rate. It's kind of crazy. So
Right.
most carriers go, stop around their age 80 or 85. Now there's a couple carriers, not a whole lot of carriers that will go under 50. That's why this combined one's pretty interesting because they'll take under the 50. Yeah, but 50 to 80 is that's your window. But when you're working with Medicare beneficiaries, you're usually working that 60 to 80-year-old is the perfect client.
Okay. Joe wants to know, can you rattle off the list again? American Amicable, Bankers Fidelity, Royal Neighbors was one.
Yep.
I'm
I'm
trying to
test
write
you.
these in here too.
Baltimore Life.
I wanted to say Baltic, so okay,
Yep.
Baltimore Life, and then who was the last one?
Did you get Mutual of Omaha?
Moo, that's it. Okay, they are now in the chat. What amount do you usually recommend?
All right. So everybody has a little bit of a different ideology on how they do it. I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to show you a couple things that no one will ever show you in this business. Hopefully this helps somebody. So this is parting.com. So you can compare local funeral homes. So let's say that I wanted to look up what it costs to get something in my hometown. Would you like a service? I'm planning for the future. I want a burial. And yes, I want a service. Yes, I want a wake. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. They used to not do this, but now it's going to show the cost of the funeral homes in the area. Now, it's showing the caskets that are costing $1,500. It traditionally funerals are going to cost between $9,000 to $12,000. Cremations are costing between $4,000 to $6,500. Funeral homes, how do I say this? Funeral homes take advantage of people when they're grieving. So they'll try to upsell things like extra services, the cost of the casket, to say your mom would really like this casket. So I'll use party.com to get me an idea of what a funeral is going to cost in that area. And I'll say, let's look at adding maybe 10% on top of that, making sure you have enough coverage. So I'll quote somebody between $8,000 to $15,000 in coverage. So I might quote them 8, 10, and 15. And then if somebody's in an area that I know is just a higher net worth area that costs a little bit more to take care of somebody, I'll offer 10, 15, and $20,000. I really don't try to max out policies at that third. Some carriers offer up to $50,000. I don't think our clients are walking around, stuff like this. They're trying to take care of a cremation or burial. And so I'm just trying to cover that. And that's why those premiums are that low 62.50. Medicare, whatever Medicare friendly plans. Sorry, I'm reading a question. But yeah, between $8,000 to $20,000, sometimes $25,000 is about where I'll max out.
Okay. What about Medicaid friendly plans?
The one that I showed you, Standard Life, the one that was the cheapest. If somebody's on disability, they won't take coverage. So that's kind of why I also don't write that one a whole lot. But most of these are Medicaid friendly.
Okay. What are the questions we got, guys?
Bucks Burley's pomade is what I use in my hair. That's a common question.
Yeah. I let's see, going once, going twice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Medicare final expense is supposed to be very simple.
Is that gaming stuff on your curtain? Yes, it is.
Yes. I'm a ginormous gamer. I might be an insurance nut, but every night when I can, I mean, in front of me, I have a 45-inch monitor and I have another 34-inch monitor that just has like games playing all the time. So I I
What do
I
you
really
play?
I play a game called Dota 2, and I've played it for around 7,000 hours.
Okay.
To put that in perspective, that's almost a year of my life that was logged on to this one game playing it.
Wow.
And I've done it while I've been doing insurance.
Okay.
So I firmly believe you should have hobbies outside of
Yeah.
what we do because that's what you want to do. And right after this, in about 12 minutes, I have to run because I'm going to play volleyball. I have volleyball lessons, and it's like it's a favorite
Sand
thing.
volleyball or gym?
Sand and sand
Sand.
volleyball. Yeah, I'm at the beach. So
Okay. There you go. So Mary wants to know, my limited experience with final expenses only being able to quote GI and the math doesn't make sense to me. If you can't get them through underwriting, do you think GI is a good product?
I GI is your last resort would be the best way. With those five carriers that I gave you, 90% of the people should be able to get level coverage.
Okay.
Your GIs are your COPDs with oxygen, current cancers, stuff like that.
Okay. And then objection. What happens when a client lives 20 years and they end up paying more than what the death benefit would have paid out?
That is what we call insurance. It's called a transfer of risk. Someone could pay. Uh, Most of the time, the people that we're dealing with don't have savings. And someone will say, "Well, I could just save this amount and save it." Well, why didn't you do it up to this point? You
Okay.
know, it's that's the risk they're taking. But more often than not, the death benefit, the people that we're serving, their mortality rate ends 81, 82, 83 years old is about where it's at. And the insurance companies are designed to win. If you don't think they're designed to win in this scenario, of
Yeah.
course they are. It happens more often than not, but most of the time people are not saving this money themselves. It is going to build cash value. So it is a whole life policy. It will build cash value. If the person lives to be 100 or 121, it'll be what's called a paid up policy, and they'll just send the person the money for the full death benefit, saying you won. It actually happened to my grandmother. She died at 99, and her policy ended at 95, and they sent her a check for $15,000, and she went to Vegas and just pulled slots for a couple days.
Awesome. So how did you learn all of this stuff when it comes to final expense, and how do others learn more about this?
Um,
And yes,
I
that's loaded.
yes, I learned it over time. I I don't know what came over me, but when I realized that I could serve people selling
Hmm.
something that I believe in and make money, it just made sense to me.
Hmm.
When I realized how people were getting taken advantage of and were not properly educated on insurance, on this level of insurance,
Hmm.
I just studied it a lot. I'm trying to give you the simple version of 10 years worth of knowledge.
Right.
There's a lot more that that goes into it. Um, it I just I'm just a nut, man. I just like it. I don't know how to
You're an
explain it.
insurance nerd.
I'm an
You
insurance
found
nerd.
your seg
Found my
you
thing.
found your segment of insurance that totally turns you on. Mine is Medicare and advocacy, so I totally get it.
Yeah.
Next question. I heard that there are a lot of chargebacks and final expense. Do you see that, and how do you prevent it?
So it is a possibility to get those chargebacks. That's why you don't want to overquote people. When we talk about how much do I cover somebody for, I'm not going, you should get the 30,000 or $40,000 plan because you can, because the people we work with, they're on Social Security, they're on disability, their income is $2,000 or less. And so I'm saying, hey, look, we're going to take a small portion of that and put it to make sure that your filing expenses are taken care of. So not overpricing somebody, but also the other thing that I talked about, and I kind of brushed over it, was Social Security billing. So the ones that I love our clients to death, but if the third falls on a Sunday and they get their money on Friday, Monday, when most carriers try to pull out that cash, that money's gone.
Not there.
It's gone, right? And the clients will tell you this. It's the best part about our clients. They'll tell you that it's gone. That's why true Social Security billing is important, and that's why I know American Amicable is probably one of my go-tos, is because they have true Social Security billing. If that calls on a Sunday, the third falls on a Sunday, they're taking the money out 12:01 on Friday.
Mhm.
Let me see. And yes, chargebacks are a thing. I would say that you want to account for about 80 to 85% persistency. Um, where people get in a lot of trouble on filing expense is when they only do filing expense and they're writing so much they're not really following up with their clients. They're just writing business and just forgetting about the clients. But with a Medicare agent that you're seeing somebody year round, they tend to want to stick with you. It's a possibility to get chargebacks, but it's not that big of a deal if you don't overquote and you use Social Security billing.
Okay. Um, Lead gen. What can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh boy. Um,
Yes, I know.
um, yes. So there's a couple ways to do lead gen. One is what I really wanted to show you guys is how do you go to your current book of business? Because I have a hard I have this thing where I don't think Medicarians are even offering it. And so just talking to your Medicare agent, your clients is one thing. But there are many lead companies that you can, I'll shut off a few. Lead Concepts is fantastic. They'll send out mailers. So
Mhm.
the way it works is they'll send out 1,000 pieces of mail, go to these clients' homes, and about 1 to maybe 2% return saying they're interested in talking to somebody more about what's on the card. Then
Okay.
your job as the agent is to go out and call those people, book an appointment, sit down with them, present, and then close. You can do it digitally through Facebook advertising. It's a weird subject right now. There's a lot of rule changes going on in Facebook. I've also been doing digital marketing for around 8 years because I did not want to pay for uh, someone to make me leads. So I started learning it myself, and I've been, that's the other nerdy thing that I got into. You can do it yourself. I'll give everybody this tip that wants to hear it. Go to Facebook Ad Library. Facebook Ad Library. Let's write this down in the chat if we can. It's like Google for ads, and you can type in keywords like Medicare. You can type in keywords like final expense, and I'm going to give you the 3 M's to marketing: mimic it, master it, make it your own. If it's working for somebody else and they're currently running ads, it's probably something that you should mimic. Master it, get really good at it, and then get so good at it that you make it your own thing. It's a touchy subject because I learning how to make your own ads is a superpower in today's economy. You should learn how to do it. There's a lot that goes into it that people don't realize. I talk more about the psychology behind advertising. Um, the way I got good at it is I would run my own ads. I would sit down with the client, and this would be my entire presentation. Amanda, I know you're going to buy insurance because why the heck would you let some goofy looking white guy like me come by and talk to you about your funeral? What I want to know is what about this picture on my phone that on this advertisement you saw
It
made
made
you
you pick up a
made you
phone.
click this,
Yeah.
made you do this? What made you click on it? Was it this? Was it this? And I just have copious thousands of notes of clients that I sat down with. And so I understood how to get into the mindset of a senior. And so when I'm making my advertisements, I'm making it around what if I was a senior citizen, what would I respond to?
Okay.
And most agents, when they're thinking about their own ads, are thinking about what can I get out of it?
Yeah.
And it's
Awesome.
hard to articulate that, but marketing you can go through several lead companies, just type in final expense leads. There's a
Yeah.
ton of them. I make leads for people. um yeah.
So if you guys are not following Matthew Murray on Facebook, you need to go ahead and do that. Check him out, follow his content. It is pretty good. You will enjoy it. There are also other Facebook groups that are specific to the life insurance final expense side of the puzzle. For those of you asking about contracts, check with your current upline, check with me, check with, and if you don't have a home for your final expense, actually Matt does do that as well. So you can go ahead and talk to him about it as well. But Matthew, thank you so much for taking the time. It was really informative. It's a great beginner level where, just based on the feedback that I'm seeing, it's not so overwhelming that people are going, oh my God, I want to run and I don't ever want to touch this. So, from somebody who avoids it and is totally freaked out by it, you made it manageable. So, I thank you for the time. Hopefully, we do these again. If you want to replay, this will be up soon. Um, we are doing another one of these webinars on February 6th. So if you need to go ahead and you want to hear it again live and in person, join then. Yes, there's multiple Matthew Murrays, but if you find the one that we're mutual friends on, then you can't miss it. And he's tagged in most of the promotions of this webinar. So just click on his name on the promotion for the webinar that you use to sign up on this. So thank you everybody for attending. Have a great time at your volleyball game. Enjoy your video game, and I will talk with y'all soon. Have a great one.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a blessed one.